Chapter 20. The Legacy. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the sprawling werewolf settlement nestled within the ancient pines. I stood beside Ezra atop the palace's highest tower, his strong presence an anchor as we gazed at our thriving community below. Pride swelled in my chest, mingling with a bittersweet ache. "We've come so far," I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper. Ezra's golden eyes flickered to mine, a hint of a smile playing at his lips. "Indeed we have, my love, though the path was not without peril." Memories of our trials flashed through my mind, the curse, the battles, the betrayals. I shuddered, pushing them aside. "Sometimes I fear it's all a dream," I confessed, "that I'll wake up and find myself back in that wretched cabin, alone." His hand enveloped mine, his fingers intertwining with mine. "You will never face that solitude again, Amara. Our bond is unbreakable." I leaned into him, drawing strength from his unwavering certainty. Below, lanterns flickered to life as dusk deepened, illuminating the paths between stone cottages and communal gathering spaces. The air thrummed with life and purpose. "Shall we walk through the village?" Ezra suggested, a playful lilt in his deep voice. "I dare say our people would welcome a visit from their alpha pair." I nodded, letting him lead me down the spiral staircase. As we stepped into the cobblestone streets, the scent of pine and wood smoke wrapped around us. Pack members paused in their evening routines, bowing their heads respectfully as we passed. "Alpha King, Alpha Queen," they murmured, genuine warmth in their tones. I inclined my head in acknowledgement, still uneasy with such deference. Ezra, ever attuned to my moods, squeezed my hand. "You've earned their respect and loyalty," he reminded me softly, "just as you've earned mine." A young pup darted across our path, chasing after a friend. They skidded to a stop, eyes widening when they realized who stood before them. "I'm sorry, Alphas," the little girl squeaked, ducking her head. I knelt, meeting her gaze. "There's no need for apologies, little one. Playing is the right of every pup." Her face lit up in a gap-toothed grin before she scampered off. As I rose, I noticed an elder watching the exchange, approval in her weathered features. "You have a way with the young ones," she said. "The moon goddess has blessed us with compassionate leaders." I felt warmth rise to my cheeks. "We are all blessed by her grace," I replied. As we continued our stroll, the weight of responsibility settled more comfortably on my shoulders. This was home, hard-won and precious, and I would fight to my last breath to keep it safe. I paused, my heart clenching as I watched young werewolves training in the clearing ahead. Their small bodies moved with a grace that belied their age, under the watchful eye of Oren, our most seasoned warrior. His deep voice carried on the breeze, firm but patient. "Remember, pups, control is key. Feel the power in your bones, but don't let it control you." My fingers curled into fists at my sides, memories of my own tormented childhood flickering through my mind. How different my life might have been if I had had such guidance. "They're so young," I murmured, unable to tear my gaze away. "Too young to bear such burdens." Ezra's voice rumbled beside me. "It's not a burden, my love. It's their birthright." I turned to him, ready to argue, but his golden eyes held mine with an intensity that stole my breath. He understood my pain, my fears. Of course he did. We were two halves of the same broken whole. "Amara," he said softly, "look closely. Do you see fear in their eyes? Or joy?" Reluctantly, I looked back at the training session. A young girl, no more than 7, had just executed a perfect defensive role. Her face broke into a wide grin as her packmates cheered. "Joy," I admitted, my chest tightening with emotion. "But will it last?" Ezra placed his hand on my back, a gesture of comfort. "That, my queen, is why we fight. To ensure it does." Before I could respond, a group of elders approached, their faces lined with worry. Ezra straightened, his demeanor shifting into that of the Alpha King. "My lord," the eldest spoke, his voice gravelly, We must discuss the eastern border. There are whispers. I felt Ezra tense beside me, though his face remained impassive. Of course, Thorn. Lead the way. As they moved off, heads bent in serious discussion, I couldn't shake the feeling that our peace was as fragile as spun glass. How long before it shattered, leaving us to pick up the pieces again? I watched Ezra walk away, my heart heavy with unspoken fears. As if sensing my unease, he glanced back at me, his golden eyes offering a silent promise. Whatever came, we would face it together. Sighing, I turned away, my fingers absently tracing the rough bark of a pine tree. The forest whispered its secrets, a balm to my troubled soul. I let my feet carry me forward, lost in thought. A warm hand brushed against mine, pulling me from my reverie. Ezra had returned, his presence both comforting and electrifying. "Your thoughts are loud, my love," he murmured, his voice intimate. I intertwined my fingers with his, relishing the simple contact. "Just ghosts of the past," I said, forcing a smile. "Nothing to concern yourself with, Alpha." His eyes narrowed, seeing through my facade as always. Before he could press further, a chorus of excited shrieks filled the air. "Mama! Papa!" Our children burst into view, a whirlwind of energy and laughter. Luna, our eldest, led the charge, her dark curls flying behind her. Arden followed close behind, all gangly limbs and mischievous grins. "Look what we can do," Luna cried, her eyes shining with excitement. I watched them play, demonstrating their newfound abilities with unrestrained joy. The weight on my shoulders lifted, if only for a moment. Their happiness was contagious, a light pushing back the shadows that often threatened to consume me. Ezra's arm slipped around my waist, pulling me close. "See?" he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. "This is what we've built. This is what we'll protect." I leaned into him, savoring the moment. But even as warmth spread through my chest, a chill crept up my spine. How long could this last? The curse that had shaped our lives was broken, but its echoes lingered. And in the depths of the enchanted forest, darker forces always waited, hungry for our downfall. I knelt before Luna, her green eyes, a reflection of my own, sparkling with pure joy. As I wrapped my arms around her, I breathed in her scent, a mix of pine and wildflowers, a stark contrast to the dark memories that so often clouded my thoughts. "My little moonbeam," I whispered, my voice catching. "You've grown so strong." Luna hugged me tightly, her warmth seeping into my very bones. For a moment, I let myself revel in her innocent love, untouched by the horrors of my past. "Mama," she said, her voice soft, "will you teach me to talk to the forest creatures?" I pulled back slightly, studying her eager face. How could I explain the weight that came with that kind of power? The responsibility that was ours by bloodline? "Soon, my love," I promised, the words tasting bittersweet. "When the time is right." A loud laugh drew my attention. Ezra had lifted Arden onto his broad shoulders, their son's delighted giggles echoing through the clearing. Seeing my fierce alpha, his usual stern demeanor replaced with such genuine joy, sent a shiver through me. "Higher, Papa," Arden commanded, his small hands tangled in Ezra's dark hair. "As you wish, little warrior," Ezra said, his voice full of playful growl as he spun in dizzying circles. I watched them, my heart swelling with a love so deep it almost hurt. This was everything I'd ever wanted but never thought I could have. Yet, even in my joy, a familiar sense of dread crept in. How long could this last before it was shattered, leaving me with only nightmares? The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. A haunting melody drifted through the air, carried on the evening breeze. The pack gathered in the moonlit clearing, their faces glowing in the warm light of the torches. Ezra and I took our seats at the head of the long table, which was covered in a feast fit for royalty. The smell of roasted meat and herbs mixed with the familiar, earthy scent of our kind. Tonight was a celebration of life, of survival. To our Alpha and Luna, a grizzled elder said, raising a goblet of deep red wine. The rest of the pack followed suit, their golden eyes filled with reverence and something else, something darker. Could they see the cracks beneath our facade of strength? Ezra's hand found mine beneath the table, his touch both reassuring and electric. "We've come a long way," he whispered, his voice meant only for me. I turned to him, searching his face for any hint of doubt. "Have we?" I whispered back. "Sometimes it feels like it's all an illusion, ready to crumble at any moment." He squeezed my hand, anchoring me. "The path was hard, my love. But look around. This is real. We've built this together." I swallowed, memories of blood and betrayal rising like a wave. And if it all falls apart? If they find out the truth about what we've done? Ezra's eyes flashed, a reminder of the beast beneath his calm exterior. "Then we'll face it as we always have. Together." His words should have comforted me, but instead, a chill ran down my spine. How long could we keep running from our sins? The elders approached, their lined faces filled with the wisdom of countless moons. Elder Thora, her silver hair glowing in the firelight, laid her hands on our shoulders. I tensed, half expecting her touch to burn away the lies we'd built. "May the moon goddess bless you both," she said, her voice creaking like old wood. "You've brought strength and prosperity to our pack." If only she knew the price we paid for that strength, the blood that stained our hands. Ezra bowed his head, the perfect image of humility. "We are honored by your faith," he said, his voice smooth and steady. I echoed his words, though they tasted like ash. The elders murmured their blessings, their eyes filled with admiration that felt like a dagger in my heart. How long until that admiration turned into horror? As the gathering began to break up, Ezra led me to a secluded balcony. The moon hung heavy in the sky, bathing us in silver light. I shivered, feeling exposed beneath her gaze. "What's bothering you, my love?" Ezra asked, wrapping his arms around me from behind. I leaned into his warmth, trying to find comfort even as doubt gnawed at me. "The future," I whispered. "It's so vast, so unknown. What if we're not strong enough to face what's coming?" His lips brushed against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. "We've faced gods and monsters, Amara. Whatever comes, we'll face it together." I turned in his arms, looking into his golden eyes. "Promise me," I said, my voice shaky. "Promise that no matter what, we'll stay united." His gaze softened, and I saw a rare vulnerability there. "Always," he vowed, sealing the promise with a kiss that tasted of moonlight and secrets. As we stood there, bathed in silver light, I clung to hope like a drowning person to a piece of driftwood. But in the dark corners of my mind, doubts lingered, whispering that even the greatest empires can crumble to dust. The end.